Hello guys, Suffolk Hobbit, and finally my second part of my Dunland blog. I've been trying to get this done for quite a while, but one thing or another I've keep getting put off. So here it is, a better look of what I've done so far. The first video is a bit more me talking with a few sort of peaks for my models and stuff, but it weren't the best captured imagery for my models, a bit blurry and stuff, so this is more for that reason. Progress wise, I have got the horsemen painted up and done, and the horses are done as well. Trying to think where my progress was in regards to the last bit. I think I had finished Thryden as well, or if I hadn't finished him I was very nearly finished, but he is now complete and utterly done. And I've undercoated the heroes, the three new heroes from Forge World. They are gorgeous miniatures. I cannot wait to get started on them. One thing that has led me to sort of have a slight delay in my progress. But yeah, so without further ado, where should we start? Let's go for, I keep sort of umming and ahhing between the original sculpts. So here is the chieftain, ginger hair, of course. Obviously, me being a ginger bearded dude, it's got to be done. Every leader has to have ginger hair because they're so damn cool. And so I think, as I said before in my previous video, the chieftain has got a greenish cloak, and that is to sort of represent the fact that he has taken it from a Rohan warrior, a royal guardsman, who knows, but definitely a member of the scum enemy Rohan, the Strawheads. Oh, we've lost a bit of focus. There we go. I've given him a little bit of sort of a brassy gold trim to his plated mail. I'm trying to call it now. Scaled armour. Not mail, scaled armour. Or lamella. Is it lamella armour? I think it's what it is, isn't it? But yeah, so I've given it a little trim, given something a bit more awesome. His helmet has got some nice sort of brass, shiny sort of highlights to it. I'm not trying to go for just metal and just gold. I want to make these guys obviously look a little bit less wealthy than their Rohan counterparts, so they're lacking in gold and real fine metals, but they make do with what they can as best they can, and so I have given some nice shines. Obviously I've given this dude a bit more attention because he's the chieftain, so obviously he's going to have earned some more money. He's got some more sort of trophies and wealth, and he's proven himself, so he's a great mighty warrior, and some of the stuff he may well have taken from his enemies. But looking at the original sculpts, the original warband sculpts, I keep umming and ahhing between which ones are my favourite. Probably the archers. This archer in particular I'm not very keen on. The helmet, just, it's not my favouriteest helmet out of all of them. Oh, I've not painted his knees. There's some gaps in his knees where his trousers are meant to be quite sort of worn and there's holes in them. And he's not had that done yet. Shock horror. Do apologise for that. I'll get that done next. But yeah, this is probably my least favourite model out of all of them. It is cool that they've got the armbands, nod to sort of Viking folklore and things there, you know, loyalty to their thanes and their chieftains and whatnot. I've gone for nice bases, you know. I've gone for sharp sand with very fine sort of gravelly stuff. To be honest, the bag I got, it looks like it's just come from sort of the seaside. Yeah, real fine stones, a few bigger stones, but I want that gravelly look to their bases, so that's that. That's it. It's my least favourite model, but they're all painted up just, you know, similar. Who we got here? We've got a nice bowman. There we go. Now, for a long time, I did wonder what these round ring things are on his sort of, well, just clothing really. It's not even leather armour really, is it? It's just clothing. But I think what it's actually meant to be, as best I could tell in looking, I think they're meant to be metal rings. I think there's meant to be some form of trying to give it the look of some sort of armour, I think. Only reason is because, apart from other people painting it, but I did see an image on Google of must have been an Osprey publishing picture of a Dark Age warrior. I daren't say what type it was. It could have even been a Celt type warrior. But either way, he was wearing an item of clothing with loads of rings just loosely put over his clothing. And I do wonder if that's where this idea come from. If anyone else knows, let me know. But at the time, I just painted them as this little sort of just shiny sort of colour. Not even a metallic colour, I think it's just a light brown. I just highlighted it a light brown. I just thought they were just like holes, but I may well go over them. But yeah, again, All the leathers. You've got a mixture of dryad bark and rhinox hide. For all the leathers, I think the chieftain had scrag brown or mornfang brown, just to give his leather look, a bit more of a fresh, more well kept look, a nicer sort of quality of leather, if such a thing exists. But that's what I went for. But all the leathers are very much the same between the warriors. And then the cloaks I've painted different colours where I can. The furs are just mainly sort of selections of greys and browns. But as I said in the previous video, I wanted these guys to look like they have different, how can I put it, different clan sort of origins. They're all one people, but they come from different parts of the mountains of Dunland itself. I mean, if you look at the map on Middle Earth, Dunland is a fair sized piece of land, so it's hard to believe that they could purely be just wild men living in wooden shacks with hardly an ounce of etiquette or control or anything to them. They must have little war bands and probably fight amongst themselves what little they can fight for. Art, wealth, and all the rest of it. So that's what I wanted to sort of represent in this, and that's why there's different shields and things, different cloak colours and stuff, and that's what I'm generally going for. Trident and his what to be the retinue is Huskarls, and maybe some riders as well, will literally have the same looking cloak as what he's got, and that's just to give an obvious look of they are what they are. They are his chosen warriors, his defenders, his bodyguards, blah blah blah. So that's what I want to go for. So although he looks unique at the moment, he generally won't be. I might make it so that the mail, they don't have exactly the same mail pattern as what he's got, because I did put 2 strips of sort of gold on his mail. We'll see how that goes. Might sort of experiment a little bit. But yeah, back to the original models. So you've seen these all before to an extent, I'd imagine. But finishing off, well, I'll keep sort of breaking off for myself. But the chieftain is definitely one of my top favourite models. The standard bearer is as well. They're all brilliant. These bowmen here are my least favourite of the group, but for the shieldmen, I would have to go with, it's got to be these guys here. So if I get all the shieldmen out first, it's these guys, this one with the shield here. Just something about this pose looks fantastic. I think, to be honest, in the practicality sense, he's sort of telegraphing what he's about to do way too much, so a skilled opponent would see that a mile off and probably get in on him. I'd imagine if that's a real battlefield type swing that he's going for, the swings would be much more subtle, but that's just that. But that is why I like this pose. Definitely my favourite warrior models of the Dunland range. So here he is. There we go, better focus there. So yeah, same again. Going for some didn't do his knee either, look. Oh man, shocking. This is terrible. Right, I'm gonna have to work on this seriously. Yeah, so again, it's got some nice sort of brass shiny parts to his armour. I did paint some of the scaled armours. Some are more metal looking, if that makes sense, compared to, say, with this guy, for example. 6 of these guys have got armour that look like this. 6 of the guys have got armour that's more metal, more chainmail, more just metal, basically. And I wanted that, again, to make it look like some of the armours they're wearing are a little bit more used, a bit more battered, maybe from lesser quality of steel, or whatever they're using for their scaled armour. But yes, that's wanted to give us a bit of variety and stuff. I've painted the inside very subtly of a shield. Gone for some nice blondes on his beard there, and that's one of the shields there. Really pleased with that. Again, I've gone for a much more darker bronze, copper look to his to the middle of his shield. The word has completely escaped me. I've gone for that. A nice simple red and black, crisscross sort of thing there. Don't know what you'd call the shapes really, but yeah, I've gone for that. Just simple alternatives. One's going across from the other. Nice red cloak, nice and vibrant, and the brown furs again, just there. So really pleased with that. I won't go into too much detail with this guy. I'll just show you the shield. So there you go, another shield there, nice blue, got some nice highlights on that there. And just to show the comparison with the armour, so you'll see with this guy, see, much more metally. That's a new word for him. Hey, I did his knee on that one, woohoo! Much more metal-like there, shall we say. And then, got this dude's shield, simple black and white, nice crisscrosses there. I think the highlight on the black is a little bit too much. I might try and tone that down slightly. But yeah, pleased with it still, nonetheless very pleased with it. And this one, final one, this guy here, I've gone for a nice sort of swirl. So there's like an S almost sort of swirling around the metal inserts of the shield coming around. Quite pleased with that. It's coming nicely. And again, male's all male. The scaled armour's looking good. Nice cloak, simple cloak. I've gone for nice browns there, nice and highlighted. About 2 or 3 shades of like brown or grey for the cloaks, for the fur. That's all I want to do for them. Don't want to go too mad. And that's them really. That's how I've painted those guys. I'm going to do loads more shields. I might, like I say, I want 2 to 3 warbands of these guys because ultimately I want a huge army of Dunlands. I just do. I don't know why. So you might see in the future 1 or 2 shields looking exactly the same. And that's because I want it to look like there's a couple that come from the same clan, same family, blah, 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 blah. But overall, they're going to be variants every single time. Just quickly show these guys where the 2-handed weapons. Awesome pose here, really cool. Looks like it's like a freeze frame sort of snapshot of him like swinging his axe down for like the killing blow. Really cool, really like it. Really nice. I'm trying to go for a nice contrast there, a nice red cloak, grey furs, nice blonde beard. So hopefully that's come out nice and it's sort of telegraphed well. I like the fact he's got a little pouch there as well. I think it's quite cool. And that's them. So then, and also still haven't painted the standard bearer's flag yet, but I have just gone over little bits of his colour there. And a nice pose again. I do like the pose, and there's just something about it's quite cool. In the base. So Thryden. So what I was saying earlier about the skulls and that. They're going to have the same looking cloak, so where I've done a nice white edge to his cloak. I'm just going to try and get that to focus a little bit better. There we go, that's better. So yeah, so the white trim on his cloak there. The Huskell's all going to have the same. It's got little edgings there as well. There we go. And again, the wolf cloak, the wolf fur. That was a joy to highlight. I don't know who sculpted this model. I'll try and look it up. But they did such a good job with the sculpt that all the raised bits were nice. Sometimes you find, or I find, some of this sort of fur style cloaks and things, you get a couple of bits where it sort of blurs, and so as you highlight with the dry brushing, you catch a bit and it sort of blurs it and a bit dribbles into one of the recesses because it's not that recessed, and you're like, I've lost a bit of the colour and that's a pain. So this dude just is a joy to paint. You've got the golds there of his scaled armour. Gone for 2 strips there again, just to make him look a bit more different, more obvious that he is, sort of the royal-blooded chieftain of the Dunland. Dare I say king of the Dunlendings, Is he a king, or is he just the absolute chieftain? Can't remember. And I went to a bit more effort with this ginger beard as well. Camera can't quite pick that up, but it's there. And I have also done his eyes. Don't know if you can see that. Just about done his eyes there. So yeah, so the mounted version of Thryden is still very much unpainted, along with the flag. These guys are all undercoated. Nothing to see there really, you know what they are. So, okay, so the first horseman. Here he is. These were an absolute joy to paint. Still got to do the pupils of his eyes yet. I haven't done that yet. But yeah, absolute joy to paint. And again, I've gone for some more vibrant, brighter colours, a little bit more detail when it comes to painting these guys. And that's because they're horsemen. I want them to sort of see, it seems like they can afford slightly better quality clothing. Maybe they've been out sort of fighting in different lands. Maybe they've been sent off. Who knows? So they've just accumulated a little bit more wealth than the standard Dunland warrior. But here's one of them in all his glory. I'm really pleased with these sculpts. And then his mate, where is he? Let's call him Bjorn, shall we? Comes these different names. So come on, Bjorn. There you go. Need to do a little bit of focus. There we go. Smashing. So again, really cool. Scrag brain with the leathers on this guy. It's got nice furs, lovely fur detail, and really cool. As I was assembling these guys and painting them, I was sort of looking at ways I could try and convert them just to make them look a bit different. Because one with his axe down and one with his axe high, it's going to get repetitive very quickly. So I need to try and do something with it. I might just move the hands around a little bit, swap the heads around a bit. Still need to paint up the hand wrap detail on his axe, but otherwise these guys are done. And then, very proud of this. This is my first attempt at a Pinto style horse. What do you guys think? I'm really pleased with it. I was inspired, funnily enough, by the guide that came out from Games Workshop the other day. I say the other day, a few weeks back now, of the different horses. I just like the idea of painting a Pinto style horse with nice pinks on the end of his nose there. You can see it, can't quite see it, the camera can't quite grab that. But yeah, really pleased. Dried bark, no, Rhinox hide, sorry, for the leathers. Mornfake brown for the fur on the seat. The saddle itself I'm going to leave black. There's no point painting that because for what little does sort of show through, it's just not worth it. So I'm just going to leave that bare. Maybe if it's like a super painting competition, I might go to some effort to paint it, but there's just no need. I made one little mistake. Well, before I say it, yes, that's the Pinto horse, and I've gone for just a nice, simple sort of blondish brown horse here. I'm really pleased with how the muscle tone intonations come out on this guy, the tones and that. Really pleased with him. It's come out really nicely. I'm quite pleased with that one. Don't know what you guys think. This was Scrag Brown with, oh dear, what was the colour? Uriel yellow, I believe. And the hair was, oh, that's a question. Mornfang Brown with the same shade of yellow, Uriel yellow, I believe. Again, dry brushing that and watered down layers, layered it bit by bit. You know, it's come out really, really well. Now, just quickly go back to something I was going to say. So, I have a slight faux pas with these guys. What happened, I didn't realise. I didn't follow the instructions too well. My eagerness to paint these guys up. You know, focus. Come on, what's going on? There we go. So, there's a leg. This leg here, I think, and that leg there, they should actually be on the opposite horse. I glued them down. I thought that was right, and it wasn't. So actually, this horse and this horse have had the very slightest conversions in the fact that they've actually had their legs swapped. It wasn't my plan. Doesn't really make it the end of the world, but just something to bear in mind if you guys are actually assembling these models. Check the instructions because I didn't quite do it. I just thought, oh, that looks right, and then afterwards, like, no, I've gone on the wrong horse. It didn't matter. Tiny bit green stuff. Bosh, all good. And another thing. Now, is it in here? There it is. So this comes with the Dunland riders. It's a shield and a Rohan Royal Guard helmet. I can't quite make it out. There we go. No, yep. Come on. There. Oh no. Yep. No, I'm just gonna do it. But yeah, it's a shield with a Rohan Royal Guard helmet, and I don't think you can just see. There's a little circle in there. That's a little recessed hole. Well. Old Numpty here, I didn't take any notes of that. I thought, a little bit of scenery for the base, wonderful. I'll leave that to the side. Going to stick it on mounted Thryden's base. I'm still going to do that. But, you see, this is the thing. Turns out that hole in that shield is actually for one of these horses to have an additional hoof glued into the base through that shield. Of course, me being me, I saw, I can't even remember which leg it was now, but I saw the leg with a little bit of plastic sticking out and I thought, it's just a bit of extra plastic moulding, snip that off. Of course, afterwards I then realised and thought, for God's sake. So, yeah, not the end of the world, but again, check it. If you want your horses to really be mounted to their bases nicely, use the bits provided and actually check the instructions. Me being me, I tend to skip things in my eagerness and it's just me all over, basically. Yeah, so learn from my mistakes, people. Having said that, don't be afraid to experiment and do things as of your own accord as well. What I'm going to do tonight is I've got my drill charging. Drill, you say? Yep, I use my Black & Decker DIY drill when it comes to pinning, because the little screwy thing you get from Games Workshop is rubbish. I used it for many years and it used to drive me to distraction in the amount of time it took to actually drill into things. I use my standard 18 volt Black & Decker drill with the tiny drill bits that Games Workshop provided on the lower setting, and I am very slow with it and it works fine. I don't recommend other people trying it, just in case you haven't, don't try it. Or yes, it is quicker in my opinion, but for Christ's sake, practice. Again, I didn't, I went hell for leather, thought, I'll be fine. Straight through, ruined the model, great. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do with these guys. I'm going to drill a couple of very delicate holes through the hooves, bit of pinning into the bases, and the same thing with the riders. Just to make sure that they sit on there nicely. just because it's resin, it's fragile, it wouldn't take a lot to break it, and it could all go horribly, horribly wrong. And that's it for now. So hopefully guys, when you see my next video, which hopefully in a week or two, these guys are going to be all put together, mounted throiding will be painted, and hopefully these bases will be finished with paints. You know, the stones will be coloured, tufts of grass and things will be put on. Maybe a few snow effects. I still want to do some snow effects on them as well, but we'll see. And yeah, and these guys, their shields will be done. They will put on. On a side note, the only disappointing thing I find about this, right, and that's there really isn't a moan, and it's probably done just as an option for the modeller. But the shields these guys come with, there is nowhere for that shield to obviously be stuck on. Not a thing. So you're literally just sticking a shield just loosely onto the arm where there's nothing to actually stick it on with. And because it's resin, because you're using super glue and other things,